Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hamilton Report. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, Executive Director of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, and your host for this evening. As I say each week, because I mean it when I say it, I'm always grateful to be welcomed into your home on Monday evening at 7 o'clock. Certainly, I'm grateful for all those who watch during the week as well, but those who tune in live, you make it a special experience for me and for my guests, and so I really do appreciate that. Happy LGBTQIA2 plus Pride Month, and this is it's an important month for many reasons and for many people. It's not just for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender folks. It's for those also of us who love someone that fits into one of those categories, or maybe doesn't quite fit into one. But that's what this month is about. It's allowing people to be themselves, to explore who they are in a very genuine way, and hopefully a very safe way as well. So this month we are going to be spending some time talking about pride issues, and issues that are still important, as well as some of the celebrations that we rightfully have in our country and in our world, along with some of the challenges dealing with legislators from every corner, it seems, of our nation. So it's going to be an interesting month. I will tell you a little bit about next week's program, though. We're not going to be talking about pride. In fact, it will be I think a very special show, because our state convention happens this Saturday, beginning at 10 in the morning. And it's there that we will elect our leaders for the next 2 years, as well as develop our platform, refine that, as well as looking at our bylaws and constitution, what changes might be made to bring us current so that we are doing business in the way that is certainly the most benefit to Democrats around our state. So it's going to be a very full day on Saturday. But then next Monday evening at 7, I will be visiting with the incoming chair, whoever is elected. I will tell you that there are 3 candidates for this position who have declared right now. They include Alicia Andrews, our current chair, who is running for re-election. Challengers are Christine Byrd, as well as Sean Cummings. So those 3 have announced that they are running, and there are folks who have announced already that they're running as well for vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. So whoever is chosen by our state convention to lead the Oklahoma Democratic Party for the next 2 years will be my guest next Monday evening at 7 o'clock right here. So I hope that you'll tune in. We have a guest, actually, who is our national correspondent for this program. And he was out in the field, as a matter of fact, today. So we're experiencing a little delay getting him on. But as soon as he arrives, then we will make sure that he joins us in this broadcast. I want to say thank you to the good folks of Stevens County. Was invited to participate in an equality walk with those good folks in Duncan this Saturday, my first Pride Month event, and it was very encouraging to me. There were probably 75 people or so, including an older straight couple who were there because they're supportive of their LGBTQ plus neighbors. And so it was exciting to see that people felt strong enough, brave enough to be out in their community, and talking with some of them who graduated from high school recently or some years ago, and how it was so stifling for them to not be able to be themselves. But today they are. They're living authentically, and I'm proud of them, and I'm proud to have had a very small part in their event on Saturday. So it was a good event. There are 2 major Pride events in Oklahoma City. Obviously, there are many things going on, but there's one Pride event in June, which will be at Scissortail Park. Another one, which will happen in October on 39th Street, the traditional route of the Pride Parade. So there are two opportunities for two very different kinds of Pride events in Oklahoma City this summer and this fall. Tulsa Pride is the same Saturday as Oklahoma City Pride in June. So there are events happening all over, but I want to encourage you, if you live in a smaller community or you hear about a Pride event in a smaller community, if at all possible, go out, even if it's just for a little while, and let people know that you care about them. It means a lot when we have allies present. I'm going to take a moment of privilege just to mention that this month, my husband and I will be celebrating our 30th anniversary, which oddly enough, it happens to fall on the anniversary of Stonewall. So that happened a few years before we met, but that's coming up later in the month for us. The reason that I invited our guest on tonight is because he is the founder and executive director of Truth Wins Out. And they're an organization who they've really done terrific work in dealing with the so-called ex-gay movement. And I'm excited by the work that they continue to do. And you'll give me a moment. I'm just checking to see if this message was from our guest. And it is. So I'm going to continue talking with you for a moment while I also make sure that he has the correct link. And I'm doing that right now as I'm continuing to talk to you. There we go. And I'm sending it to him again. This is what happens when you do things live and aren't afraid of walking and working without a net. So he now has that, and hopefully he will be checking his email again. I'm going to just let him know that I've sent it. Right now. Okay, so he should be with us shortly. But I'm now back with you, and you have my undivided attention, and I apologize for that. I do want to say that that Truth Wins Out has done yeoman's work in dispelling the myths that are so frequently regaled and retold and told as truth. And so I'm anxious for you to hear directly from our guest what he's been doing and a new program that they've just launched of it's a campaign of awareness really for anyone considering reparative therapy, anyone who is considering sending their child to reparative therapy. Now, I know a lot of people in our party who have experienced lifelong PTSD, trauma because of so-called reparative therapy or curing someone from being gay. I need to say very, very clearly here, every major medical organization in the world has declared that so-called reparative therapy does not work, that it is dangerous and can lead to increases in suicide. Now that's to think about that fact, and that's indisputable. And yet we have legislators right here in Oklahoma who are incredibly keen on not just keeping it alive, but codifying it in our state's constitution that it will be legal always. Now, no, flat out no. Thankfully, it didn't go anywhere this session, but we know, like bad weeds in a yard, it will come back next year, and it will come back with strength, and we must be prepared. Because when you take someone who is fragile because of what they have been told at home or in school or in church, that they're going to hell, that they have no life, they have no chance at all of being happy. You take this individual and then you give them an option, like waving a magic wand and their life will be complete. What we know is that that's just not true. It's just not true. And these charlatans, these snake oil salesmen, they're making a fortune off the backs of the poor people who get suckered in to have literally the gay beaten out of them. It's horrifying. And so I'm going to stop there for a moment and introduce our guest. And I appreciate you folks staying with me while we work some things out here. But Wayne Besen, good evening and welcome back to the Hamilton Report, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be here. How are you, Scott?
I'm well, thank you. And I'm sorry about any confusion, but I'm glad you made it. I told folks at the top of the show that you also serve as national correspondent for the Hamilton Report. You were with us co-anchoring all night during election night, and we've relied on you for a number of things. Now, before we talk about the new campaign, I just want to say how much I enjoyed watching the videos from the so-called ex-gay march in Washington this past weekend. You were there. You were there in DC reporting on this. But I have to tell you that for a lot of those folks, and the way that particularly that they were dancing, I'm not real sure that the X part actually took for them. It was an interesting group.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not ex-gay, but it did kind of look like a Richard Simmons impersonation contest. That's all I'm saying. It was. It was not. Honestly,
I saw
it wasn't credible. It wasn't credible.
Yeah, I believe that. But the video that I saw from the Washington Blade only showed about 14 people there. What was the most people that you saw at one time?
Oh, there was over 100 people there. I mean, it wasn't crowded.
Oh my gosh, it was a rousing success there.
Well, let's just say that San Francisco and New York Pride aren't feeling any competition today over this. There's no scare there that they're going to be overtaken by the hordes of ex-gays praying away the gay and marching down the street. It was a paltry crowd considering that it got a full segment for the Christian Broadcasting Network with Pat Robertson. So they had a huge amount of press. And then Lou Engle, who fills stadiums from The Call. He's that pastor from The Call. He did a promotional video for them the day before, and they still only got 100 people. And not all of them were ex-gay. A lot of them were heterosexuals who were browbeating these people into proclaiming that they were something that they're not.
Interesting. Wow. I've got 3 clips from your new campaign. Would you set up, please, for us what the premise of the campaign is and why you're doing it?
My hair, Scott, it's going wild on me. What's happening? Anyway, the premise for this, there's 3 actually. We've got the love yourself, live your truth, and we're saying that for people to genuinely be happy in life and come out and experience the joy of being authentic, they need to first love themselves, because these ex-gay organizations, what they do is they preach that you're not whole, that there was something wrong with you, that you're broken, that you're sick. Obviously, that's not true in any way, shape, or form. So they make it so people hate themselves, they're self-loathing. And then once people are made to feel that way, they can be bamboozled into pretending they're no longer gay for a period of time until they eventually come out again. The second part of the campaign is called "It's So Weird," and we want to. A lot of people think they support conversion efforts. They think they support ex-gay programs until you show them what it entails, what these people actually do. And even conservatives, when they see the methods used by so-called ex-gay therapists, they recoil and go, yeah, I don't know if I believe this, because it is weird and bizarre. Things like every time you see a man you're attracted to, you take a rubber band and snap it. Banging a pillow, a tennis racket on a pillow, screaming your mom's name and pretending you're killing her. Pretending that Jesus is your boyfriend and loving you. I mean, these are the kinds of bizarre techniques they use. And the final leg of the campaign is called It's Dangerous, because it's easy to make fun of these groups, and we do because, well, they're funny in the sense that they're bizarre. But there's also another side of it, the dangerous side, where people are made to feel so bad about themselves that they get hooked on drugs to numb the pain, that they act irresponsibly, and ultimately many of them, in their depths of despair and depression, try to commit suicide. And so that's the third part of the campaign that we're looking at right now.
Wayne, I'm going to actually do these in reverse order. I'm going to save the love yourself for the end of our broadcast, but I would just like to take a look first at a video clip, and this is the It's Dangerous one. So I'm going to pull us out so we can watch this and then ask you to talk about it immediately after.
Ex-gay programs cause anxiety, depression, and self-destructive behavior, including suicide.
I had no idea how insidious it was and how damaging it was going to be. I was having daily anxiety attacks. I couldn't keep food down. That night, I just don't want to be here. I drank an entire bottle of Smirnoff vodka and I blacked out. It was the first time that I had ever been drunk. It was the first time that I had ever considered taking myself out, killing myself. And I struggled to realize that that's what I was trying to do.
That's a very, very powerful piece. I'm guessing that these were done pretty much unscripted, yes?
Oh, they're all unscripted. I just ask questions and that come to my mind, and I tell people stories, and it's going to be part of a larger story. We tell the whole story of individuals, but we took the parts out, I think, that really gripped people, and especially because these are made for the internet. It's made for Instagram. Anyone who wants to go, truthwinsout_org, truthwinsout_org. We on YouTube, Truth Wins Out, Facebook, you name it. And because nowadays you got to keep it short and to the point, and I think that's what our campaign does. Almost every ad's under a minute, and when I think of creating these ads, Scott, you know what I think of? I think of the crisis point that everyone goes through while coming out. And what I mean by crisis point is there's a moment when someone comes in and tells their parents I'm gay, and they tell their friends or their whoever it may be. And either there's acceptance, which is the healthy, natural way to go, or there's resistance. And sometimes with this resistance, what I call the crisis point is when the parent or the child themselves say, what do I do? What can I do? And there are a lot of charlatans out there who are going to meet this moment with lies and misinformation. What I want to do is create an avalanche of actual accurate information, facts, to meet the fiction being peddled by the extreme right. And this is what this campaign is truly about. When that crisis point hits and people are looking for information, we're going to have it. We're going to show them what this is like. We're going to say there is one road to happiness, and that's self-acceptance. If you try to be somebody you're not, it's not a journey as they're telling you, but it's a dead end of despair. And that's what's going to be being discussed in these ads, and that's really what our goal is. It's to meet that crisis point with a lot of strength and education to meet indoctrination.
I'll tell you, Wayne, it's even the use of the word journey, I find suspect, because that's a term that is frequently used in a number of religions, that life is a journey or your process is a journey. And so there's something built in that we recognize with that language. And now it's being put to us like it's a journey that will wind us up in paradise. And you and I are both familiar with folks who survived this so-called therapeutic approach, and some that did not. And of those who did, the only ones who are really okay today are those who were able to say, you know what, I just wasted my time, my money. I've wasted all these years, again, fighting against who I was, pretending to be a husband, a father, That's not me. And
Yeah,
so,
and you mentioned money, and it's expensive, and they never give you your money back. There's a 100% failure rate and a 0% refund rate, and people need to understand that. They're taken from you.
and, you know,
They're exploiting you in your moment of need, in desperation and vulnerability, and they're reaching your hand in your pocket like the charlatans they are, and it's not going to work. And when you say, hey, all those promises you made were false promises, can I have my money back? They're going to say, sorry, it's already been spent. It's in my bank. It's not your bank anymore. It's in my bank.
yeah.
And that's because it's a fraud factory. The industry is a fraud factory. We offer a
Well,
product that doesn't exist.
you mentioned a moment ago some of the techniques that are involved. Let's take a look at this clip. This one's called "It's So Weird."
XK conversion therapy. It's so weird.
How did mom make you feel like you had to be perfect?
You stupid bitch.
Why can't you just say good things about me?
This is a freak show.
That you're not in control of me anymore.
It doesn't work. It never works.
Hold him to your heart and imagine that you're holding the little boy that you used to be.
You've got to be kidding me. This isn't therapy. It's fraud.
Well, get some fucking balls and do something about it.
I have a penis.
Good. I'm a man.
Sketchy. Unprofessional. Can you believe this?
Wow, that just sends chills, because it doesn't take someone with a PhD in psychology or an MD who's a psychiatrist to watch that and go, "You've got to be kidding me. There is no science here."
Yeah, the script writes itself. You've got to be kidding me. This is bizarre. This is weird. And what these groups do is they start out by saying that you're gay or lesbian because you didn't have a good relationship with a same-sex parent and you're bad at sports. Well, I happen to have great relationships with my parents, and I was all-city basketball, second team in high school. And a lot of other people fit that pattern as well. So what they're essentially doing is they're confusing stereotypes with science, and that's why you have this absurd situation where they're going, and you don't have a member, and and all these weird sexual things, is because there's no science whatsoever. Every respected medical and mental health organization in the world, like the American Psychiatric Association, says this can cause anxiety, depression, and self-destructive behavior. What we looked at just there is not a road or a quote journey to heterosexuality. What we looked at is a parody of heterosexuality. It's what these buffoons, these quacks, think a straight man acts like, and they try to emulate it. But it turns out to be theater of the absurd. It turns out to be a parody of heterosexuality rather than the real deal. And that is why we wanted to show this, because even conservatives, when I show them these things, they go, I didn't know that was what was going on. I can't support that. That's a little peculiar. And that's why we did this series, to make sure people, when they say they support this, we want them to know exactly what they're saying they support. And then a lot of times they don't anymore.
Stephen Black here in Oklahoma City, and I'm not even going to say the name of his organization, but they're still tripping right along and still making money. And so let me ask you, you've been doing this a long time. And I should tell our viewers that Wayne wrote the seminal book on debunking the whole ex-gay myth. And you've been at this a long time. How is it that these people continue to destroy lives and seemingly completely protected?
Because they're left with no good options. Okay, pretend for a minute you're a fundamentalist preacher, Scott. It's a stretch, I know. But we're going to do this for a second. You're a fundamentalist preacher, and you're left with three options. The first option is to accept LGBTQ people for who they are. Well, that's not going to happen, most likely. What is your second option? Well, it's to return to hardcore fire and brimstone. Well, that didn't work so well. The Fred Phelps, God hates, starts with an F and ends with an S. That's that whole Fred Phelps fire and brimstone. You're going to hell. God hates you. Well, that didn't work. That's turning people off. So what's the third option? It's to pretend you're actually loving somebody when you hate their guts and you're trying to destroy their psyche and you're trying to basically put them into a life without any happiness or joy whatsoever. That's not love. That's the opposite of it. But what they're doing is they're saying, we're not here. We're here to help you, protect you from yourself because we love you. We're going to save you. And so that's the third option. And that's why they're continuing to do this again. They had a complete meltdown. Their biggest organization, Exodus International, the biggest ex-gay group in the world, shut down in 2013. The leaders behind it, Randy Thomas and Alan Chambers, the president, said, this doesn't work. We've never changed anybody. Nobody's changing. And then right after that, the Jewish organization was put out of business for consumer fraud called Jonah. And you would think at that point, they'd just be gone and say, we tried this. This is an experiment that failed. It doesn't work. But no, they're doubling down on it because of that reason, because they have nowhere else to go. It's acceptance, it's fire and brimstone, or this third way, the whole ex-gay myth. And that is why they keep getting behind this, because they're stuck. And, maybe in the future they'll choose they'll choose acceptance and love rather than this bogus version of love where they're just undermining people's self-respect and self-esteem and leading them down a very dark path to perdition. I mean, it's very scary what happens to people when they're made to hate themselves. And this is really what these people are in the business of doing, because they can't break you down and try to persuade you to give up your humanity unless you hate yourself first. And so when you talk about Stephen Black in Oklahoma City, for example, though, he's a very scary guy because his vision of God is just dark and creepy, in my personal opinion. This is a man who sees a demon behind every bush. He sees the devil popping up his horns behind every nook and cranny. Could you imagine living like that, where you're constantly all day, every day, and all night fighting battles against invisible demons who are trying to make you go to a gay bar and have a good time? That is what his life is about. That is what he preaches. It's an ugly, I would quite frankly say it's a bastardized version of Christianity. That's cruel. I think it is, it's puritanical to a degree that is stunning, and I think that it's not real Christianity in the sense it has nothing to do with Jesus, which was about love and about being a decent person. I don't see any love and I don't see any decency. I see a guy who runs around paranoid that demonic forces are around, or in his Diet Coke or whatever. He opens the bottle and he sees Satan everywhere. He sees demons everywhere, and I think that kind of religion makes people very neurotic. I think it makes it so people are terrified all the time. I think if you teach a child that, I think it's a form of child abuse when you're teaching them that there's demons coming and try to attack them at all times. And I think if you read his work, that's all he is about. And homosexuality is a demon. That's his viewpoint. And it's destructive, and he hurts people, and he's a bad man who's ruined lives.
I want our viewers to note that we're talking now about one person with a so-called, and I'm using this term very loosely, but a ministry. But what you also need to know, folks, is this. He doesn't have a lot of people just walking in off the street saying, "Hi, make me straight." He is referred by pastors and deacons and elders and family members from everywhere. And so, we can paint this guy as a really bad guy, which his work is bad. But he's not operating by himself. He's getting these referrals from other people. And
you're absolutely right. It's an industry, Scott. It's an industry. There are people making money off this. There are ideologues that, instead of actually talking to LGBT people and having some empathy, are doing the opposite of that. They're closed their ears off. They don't want to hear what's happening. They're willing to wreck our lives. They're willing to separate us from our families. They want us to lead lives of misery, depression, despair, and loneliness. And sometimes it's so bad we try to kill ourselves. And that's what they call godly. And all these pastors that are funneling people to him are guilty as well. absolutely, he is not operating alone. Every single pastor that has referred somebody to him is culpable in the destruction that is wrought by people who try to change and then find they can't, and then blame God for not being able to live the facade that someone like Stephen Black, presents to people.
Yeah, it's as a person of faith, I find it very, very, it's worse than insulting. It is to hide behind faith is one of the biggest, most cowardice things that anyone can do.
Yeah, I just don't see how it's like. Where's God? Where's God? And where's the message of Jesus and anything that he does? I don't see any part that says love thy neighbor. To me, his whole thing is, I'm going to judge thy neighbor and condemn them and tell them that they have a demon inside their body. Yeah. I'm not sure how biblical that is, to be quite frank.
I am not either. I want to take a look now, when we're moving quickly out of time, but I do want to take a look, and this piece is a little bit longer, but to our viewers, I would ask that you stay with us, because it's a very powerful piece, and I think it sums up well. This is the love yourself piece, Wayne. Wouldn't you say that this pretty much defines what this campaign is all about?
Yeah, I mean, the campaign itself is called Love Yourself, Live Your Truth, because before you can get out of these ministries, you have to love yourself. And once you do, then you go on to the next phase, which is living your truth. And that's when your life comes together. And that's when you have the potential for happiness. It's never guaranteed, of course, but at least there's some potential. At least you're getting up and you're not an actor playing a role. You're you going through life, rather than being an actor for somebody else to make some ideologue happy.
Let's take a look at it.
Love yourself. Live your truth.
My name is Michael Bussey, and I'm an ex-gay leader. If you're a parent who's considering sending your child to an ex-gay program, don't fall for the sales pitches. Find out about them. Look at the science behind them. Every major psychological, social work, medical organization pretty much in the world agrees that these programs are both ineffective and harmful, especially to children. If your child needs counseling or therapy, find someone that will help them to affirm themselves and to realize that they are valuable just as they are. Do not fall for the false advertising of ex-gay programs.
My name is Commissioner Patty Sheehan, and I am a survivor of the ex-gay ministries. To those who are thinking about entering an ex-gay ministry, I would really encourage you to get some counseling outside of the church, because I think that they will take advantage of you, they will make you dependent, and they will not do what's in your best interest. It took me a long time to be able to heal from the abusive things I was told about who I could be as a woman, positively express my sexuality, and I think it's really important to realize there's nothing wrong with you. There's a lot of research that shows that this ex-gay ministry stuff doesn't work. Denying who you are doesn't work. And don't get caught up in that hatred. You want to be a force of good, not a force of evil.
Jared Dixon confronts his former conversion therapist, Christopher Doyle.
What I would say to Christopher Doyle if he walked into the room right now would be, I'm still here. You tried to erase who I am, but I'm still here. You told me I wouldn't have a successful relationship, but I've been with my fiance for going on 9 years. We don't do the things you said we would do. We want a family. We are building a life together. You didn't win. You tried to break me. You almost broke me, but you didn't. You didn't.
Ben and Chaim grew up in extremely conservative households. They endured traumatic experiences during conversion therapy.
So basically, I would be standing in front of the mirror. It was a slow process of taking my shirt off. I felt really uncomfortable. But here was a man who was much older than me, and he was right behind me, staring at the mirror at my body.
And I would remove one layer of clothing, my pants, my undershirt, till I was standing there with no clothes. And he asked me to touch my genitals. And I communicated that I'm not comfortable with it, and he was just like, feel yourself, just feel it for a second.
No, it doesn't work. I mean, the therapy itself doesn't work. I've literally never met someone coming out of that therapy who turned straight.
My husband told me that before he met me, he went to his father and told his father that he thought he might be gay. And his father said to him, oh no, don't be gay. They decided that the best solution was for Alan to meet a woman and lead a straight life. It angers me tremendously. I was used. I feel like I was really used. My whole life was taken from me. My family was destroyed. I had no choice of my own. And I would never, ever encourage anyone to ever take that path.
Hi, I'm Dr. Milton Diamond from the University of Hawaii School of Medicine.
A message from Dr. Diamond to transgender youth.
Things will be better, and they generally are getting better. More and more society is learning to be accepting of differences. And if you're proud of yourself, be confident in yourself and do the best you can in whatever you decide to do in life. People will come to respect you for it and accept you for yourself. Nature loves variety, and being different is not something to be ashamed of.
Love yourself. Live your truth. Truth wins out.
That's a very powerful piece. And to end it with an older gentleman talking about hope and believing yourself and the fact that things do get better. I'll tell you, you've really hit a home run with this campaign, Wayne, because it does all the right things. It shows people who are vulnerable. It shows people who were mistreated. It shows what's happening in the rooms of these terrible places. But at the same time, it affords a sense of hope. So congratulations to you, to Truth Wins Out. You've been doing this a long time, and I'm thrilled to see that not only is your work being recognized today, but it continues to help families everywhere. I should tell our folks that Wayne has a new book coming out soon, and we both hoped that it would be available for Pride Month, but it's going to be a little bit longer. We'll be back, have him back to talk about that soon. But I'm going to ask you to keep us.
And these books take forever to get out there. Like that's why people. That's why I like articles. They're quicker. They come out quicker. But books, it takes a while. But it'll be out there. Lies with a Straight Face, and I'm excited about that. And I appreciate you having me on today, Scott. And
listen, you are
so important to talk
welcome
about these issues.
It is important, and I'm going to count on you keeping me informed what's going on so that we can let our viewers know. And I would encourage you to reach out to Wayne at truthwinsout.org, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's just an outstanding organization that I'm so proud to work with, and especially.
And I'll just end by saying we release new videos for an entire year on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tomorrow on Instagram at truthwinsout_org, we're going to be releasing a video, and then we're going to do it again Thursday. So that's going to go on all year because we really want to make sure people have all the information they need to make decisions in their lives.
I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to just encourage our viewers, please, let's take advantage of this in the best possible way, because we know that reparative therapy is going to come up again in the next legislative session. We know that they're going to try to write it into the Constitution that it's legal now and forever. And so by sharing this information with your friends, your fellow voters, and eventually with our legislators, that's going to be saying more than any one of us could by ourselves. And so, Wayne, thanks again. Looking forward to having you back real soon. And in the meantime, take care of yourself, will you, sir?
You too. It's great being on. It's been an honor. Have a great day. Well, night.
You too. Good night. Well, and I thank you too. We ran a little long tonight, but I hope you'll agree that this is an important subject that we can't let die, because too many of our young people are dying at the hands of people who wish them no well and no good. Reminder that this Saturday is the state convention for the Oklahoma Democratic Party, and next Monday evening at 7 o'clock, I will be interviewing the newly elected chair of our party, and I'm anxious to hear what they have to say, and I hope that you will join me tomorrow, next Monday evening at 7 as well. Until then, friends, take good care of yourselves, take good care of your families, those that you love, and especially to all my LGBTQ plus friends, take heed at what the gentleman said. It really does get better. Thanks for watching us. Until next time, have a great evening and be well. Good night.